Stop right now, not later. Not after this scroll, stop. If you're still here, it's because something just pulled on you. You felt it before you understood it, a quiet pressure, a stillness that didn't ask permission. That's the signal. This isn't background noise. This isn't content. This isn't for everyone. This moment found you on purpose. Take one slow breath. Let it settle in your chest. Notice how your thoughts didn't disappear. They lined up. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. There are messages meant to be heard in crowds, and there are messages that only survive in silence. This is the second kind. You were paused because you are standing at a fragile intersection. Not fragile like weak. Fragile like sacred glass being shaped by fire. And fire does not rush. You felt it, haven't you? That strange pull away from noise, from explaining, from reacting. Things that once demanded your energy suddenly feel heavy. Conversations that used to excite you now drain you. And you wondered quietly, what changed inside me? Nothing broke. Something matured. There is a separation happening around you, and it's not punishment. It's protection. Not everyone is meant to have access to you while you're becoming. Not everyone can handle you when you're quiet but powerful. Not everyone deserves the version of you that's forming right now. That's why interruptions have increased. That's why old issues resurfaced out of nowhere. That's why certain people suddenly reached out randomly. It wasn't random. You are in transition, and transition attracts interference. If the enemy can't stop your growth, he'll try to rush your mouth. If he can't steal your calling, he'll provoke your emotions. If he can't destroy your future, he'll bait your past. But notice this, you didn't take the bait. You paused, you watched. You felt something was off before it had a name. That's discernment waking up. There are traps that only work if you explain yourself. There are doors that only reopen if you respond emotionally. There are cycles that only continue if you react the old way. And you didn't. That silence you're practicing. It's not avoidance. It's authority learning how to breathe. You're realizing something powerful. You don't owe everyone access to your inner world. You don't need to prove what's already being built. You don't have to correct every misunderstanding to stay aligned. Some battles are won by not showing up. That's why your energy feels precious now, limited, guarded. You're not tired, you're focused. This season is not about being loud, it's about being accurate. There are things being rearranged behind the scenes while you stay still. Motives are being exposed without you speaking. Intentions are being revealed without confrontation. Truth is surfacing on its own. And that bothers people. Because when you stop reacting, manipulation loses oxygen. When you stay calm, chaos has nothing to feed on. When you don't explain, false narratives collapse under their own weight. Some people miss the old version of you, the predictable one, the reactive one, the version they could trigger and read. But that version is gone, and they can feel it. That's why they poke old wounds, bring up old stories, reference who you used to be. They're trying to resurrect familiarity. But hear this clearly, you are not obligated to revisit what you already survived. This new stillness isn't emptiness. It's power under control. You are being trained to move without announcing, to decide without noise, to trust what you sense even when you can't explain it yet, because what's coming requires clarity. There are instructions ahead that won't come through chaos. There are shifts coming that require emotional cleanliness. There are doors about to open that won't open if you're distracted by defending yourself. So you were pulled aside, not to be hidden, to be refined. There is a reason your patience has been tested back to back, a reason your triggers tried to resurface, a reason you've been tempted to speak. Just one sentence. That one sentence could delay months of progress, and you knew it. That's why you stayed quiet even when you were misunderstood, why you walked away even when you were right, why you chose peace over being seen. That choice mattered more than you know. You are standing between versions of yourself, the old one that survived, and the new one that will lead, and both heaven and opposition recognize the shift. So stay grounded, stay slow, stay present. You don't need to rush into the next chapter. It's already moving toward you. What was confusing will make sense soon. What felt unfair will be addressed without your effort. What hurt you privately will be redeemed openly. But not yet. This is the quiet before clarity, the stillness before direction, the pause before precision. If this felt like it was spoken directly into your inner world, That's because it was meant to find you when you were ready to hear without reacting. You were chosen for this message, not because you're perfect, but because you're listening. And that's rare. Stay close to this calm. Don't rush back into noise. Let this settle. Because the next instruction won't come loudly. It will arrive gently, and it will change everything. You are protected here. You are seen here. You are not behind. You're right on time. Stay still. Stay aware. This isn't over yet. Stay with me. Don't rush past this part, because this next wave is quieter and heavier. There's a reason your soul feels alert right now. Not anxious, alert. It's the feeling you get right before something shifts. Like the air changes before a storm, but this storm doesn't destroy, it rearranges. You've been sensing it in small ways, moments where time feels slower, moments where you catch yourself staring into space, not lost, just aware, moments where your intuition speaks louder than logic. That's not distraction, that's activation. Something inside you has started listening differently. You're no longer impressed by surface-level words. You feel intentions before sentences finish. You notice energy before expressions. And that can feel lonely, because when you start seeing clearly, you also start seeing alone. Not everyone around you is where you are. Not everyone can hear what you hear. Not everyone is meant to walk into what's opening next. And that's okay. This season isn't about gathering people. It's about shedding weight. There are layers coming off you right now. Old expectations, old roles, old versions of yourself that kept you small just to keep peace. You're realizing something uncomfortable but freeing. You outgrew some spaces quietly, and they didn't notice, until your silence became noticeable. That's when the questions started, the assumptions, the subtle pressure to return to who you were. But you didn't. And deep down, you know why. Because the moment you go back, you'll feel it, that tightness in your chest, that heaviness in your spirit. Your body already knows what your mind is still catching up to. You cannot unsee what you've seen. You cannot unknow what you now understand. You cannot fit into containers you've spiritually outgrown. This isn't rebellion, it's alignment. And alignment always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You've been mourning things you can't name, grieving versions of yourself you didn't realize you were releasing. Letting go of dynamics that once defined you. That's why your emotions feel layered lately. You're not sad, you're shedding. There's a difference. You're being prepared to carry something heavier than before, and capacity is built through refinement, not noise. That's why you've been pulled into stillness, why distractions stopped satisfying you, why you crave depth over entertainment. Your spirit is hungry for substance, and not everyone understands that hunger. Some will try to fill it with opinions, some will try to distract it with drama, some will try to dull it with familiarity. But you didn't let them. You listened to the quiet nudge instead. Now hear this part carefully. What's coming into your life will require discernment more than effort. You won't win by pushing harder. You'll win by choosing wisely. There are opportunities approaching that look good on the surface, but feel off underneath. There are connections that sound right, but don't sit right. There are doors that will open simply to test your boundaries. And the old version of you would have walked through just to be polite. Just to be seen, just to not disappoint, but not anymore. You are learning to say no without guilt, to pause without explanation, to trust discomfort as information. That's growth. And it's not loud, it's subtle, it's internal. That's why people might not recognize the change immediately, but they'll feel it. They already do. That's why some interactions feel tense now, why certain people can't quite read you anymore, why conversations feel shorter, quieter, more distant. You didn't build walls, and boundaries change dynamics. Some will respect them, some will resist them, some will reveal themselves because of them. Let them. You're not here to manage everyone's comfort. You're here to protect your clarity. There's a version of you forming that doesn't second-guess every decision, that doesn't over-explain every choice, that doesn't shrink to fit spaces that no longer align. That version is calm, grounded, unshakable, and it scares anything that thrived on your self-doubt. That's why the pullback feels intense right now, why you're being asked, internally, to slow down even when things speed up externally. This is where patience becomes power. You don't need to rush the reveal. You don't need to announce the transformation. You don't need validation for what's already ordained. What's meant for you is being aligned with you quietly. And soon, very soon, things will click, not all at once, but enough to move forward with confidence. You'll start recognizing what feels right instantly. You'll stop debating decisions that once consumed you. You'll feel peace even before outcomes appear. That's when you'll know you're ready. Ready for the responsibility that comes with clarity. Ready for the influence that comes with integrity. Ready for the next assignment that doesn't just bless you, but uses you. And that's why this phase is guarded. Not hidden from you, protected for you. You weren't delayed. You were being aligned with precision. Every pause had purpose. Every quiet moment was calibrating you. Every time you chose peace over reaction, something locked into place. You are not behind. You are being positioned. So if right now your life feels quieter than expected, if progress feels internal rather than visible, if you feel disconnected from noise but connected to yourself, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't break the silence prematurely. Don't abandon the stillness for reassurance. Don't rush back into chaos just to feel familiar. This calm is building something unshakable, and soon the clarity you've been waiting for will arrive without forcing. Stay here, stay present, stay listening. Because what's unfolding next doesn't need your anxiety, and you have that now. More than ever. Stay here a little longer. This is where the message deepens. What you're feeling now isn't urgency. It's readiness. There's a subtle difference, and you're learning it in real time. Urgency feels frantic, pressured, loud. Readiness feels calm, grounded, almost quiet but firm. And that's where you are. You're not chasing anymore. You're not forcing timelines. You're not begging clarity to show up. You're standing still and watching life move toward you. That didn't happen overnight. It happened through disappointment you didn't post about, through prayers you whispered instead of shouted, through moments where you chose restraint when reaction would have felt easier. Those moments counted. They rewired you. There's a reason situations that once drained you now feel distant. A reason certain problems solved themselves when you stopped interfering. A reason peace arrived the moment you stopped explaining. You finally learned that not everything needs your response to resolve. Some things just need your alignment. You've been shedding urgency, and with it fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of missing out, fear of being left behind. That fear no longer has the same grip on you, because something inside you knows what's meant for you doesn't require panic. It arrives when you're ready to carry it, and you're becoming capable in ways that aren't visible yet. That's the part people don't see, the internal strengthening, the emotional discipline, the spiritual awareness sharpening quietly. You've stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this preparing me for? That shift alone changed everything. You're no longer offended by delays, you're curious about them. You're no longer crushed by closed doors. You're observant. You're no longer chasing affirmation, you're rooted. And that rooting is happening deep, below the surface, where storms can't reach. This is where trust replaces control. You're learning to move when prompted, not when pressured, to speak when led, not when provoked, to act from clarity, not emotion. That's maturity, and maturity is magnetic. Soon you'll notice people coming to you for grounding, for perspective, for calm, not because you're louder, but because you're steady. That steadiness didn't come from having all the answers. It came from surviving confusion without losing yourself. You learned how to sit in the unknown without panicking, how to stay soft without being naive, how to remain open without being exposed. That balance is rare, and it's exactly why you were guided through silence instead of noise. There's a new level of responsibility approaching you. Not heavy in burden, heavy in impact. Your words will start carrying more weight. Your choices will ripple further. Your presence will influence more than you realize. That's why refinement came before expansion. You wouldn't have enjoyed the next phase without this grounding. It would have overwhelmed you, pulled you back into patterns you've outgrown. So you were slowed down on purpose, not to frustrate you, to fortify you. And now, you're beginning to sense it. That quiet confidence, that inner I know without proof, that's intuition sensed with wisdom. You're learning to trust yourself again, not the impulsive self, but the aligned self. The one that listens, the one that pauses, the one that doesn't need permission to walk away. That version of you doesn't second-guess peace, and peace is becoming your compass. Soon decisions will feel simpler, not because life gets easier, but because clarity increases. You'll know what to engage with and what to ignore, who to invest in and who to release, what deserves your energy and what no longer qualifies, and you won't feel guilty about it, because guilt dissolves when purpose becomes clear. There's something else happening too, something subtle but important. Your capacity for compassion is expanding, but your tolerance for disrespect is shrinking. That's not contradiction. That's discernment. You can love deeply without allowing access. You can forgive without reconnecting. You can understand without excusing. You're learning that boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They let in what nourishes and block what drains. That's why your circle feels smaller, why your conversations feel more intentional, why silence feels less lonely and more restful. You've stopped fearing emptiness. You realized emptiness is often just space preparing to be filled correctly. And that realization changed how you wait. You don't wait anxiously anymore. You wait attentively, watching, listening, noticing patterns. You're aware now that timing matters as much as direction. That moving too soon can be just as costly as moving too late. So you're honoring the pause, and the pause is honoring you. Soon something will present itself. An opportunity, a conversation, a decision. It won't shout, it won't pressure. It will feel calm, clear, aligned. And you'll recognize it instantly, because it won't pull you out of yourself. It will anchor you deeper into who you've become. That's how you'll know it's right. Until then, nothing is wasted, nothing is stalled, nothing is missing. Every quiet day is building stamina. Every moment of restraint is sharpening wisdom. Every time you choose peace, you're choosing longevity. You're not being rushed because what's coming is sustainable. And when it arrives, you won't scramble to hold it together. You'll receive it with steadiness, with grace, with readiness. That's why you're here now, reading this, feeling seen, sensing confirmation without needing details. You didn't imagine this resonance. You didn't stumble into it. You were guided here because you're listening differently now. And that matters. So stay present, stay grounded, stay honest with yourself. You don't need to do more. You just need to stay aligned. What's next will meet you exactly where you are, not where you pretend to be, not where you used to be, where you are now. And that's enough.